How's it going, guys? It's ZaTaisho, and welcome to another episode of Let's Direct. In this episode, I'll be directing you guys on how to play Corpse Party on the PC yet again. Because most of you guys were having some difficulties on what to do with the controls and with some errors that occurred, I decided that I'd make another tutorial for you guys on this and try to give out everything that I can provide this time, and to do this once and for all. So, without wasting any more time, let's direct. To start this one off, I'm here on my laptop that doesn't have anything installed or downloaded yet, and we want to play Corpse Party. Probably because we don't own a PSP yet, or the fact that we just really want to play it. Well, whatever the case may be, we first need to figure out what kind of operating system our computer uses. To do that, head over to the Start button and hover Computer. Right-click, then go to Properties. There, under System, you should see your system type. As you can see, my computer uses a 64-bit system, and without going into anything technical, this pretty much means that I'm able to use a 64-bit and 32-bit application. If I were to have a 32-bit system, however, then I'll only be able to use 32-bit apps instead. Just keep that in mind for future reference. Anyways, now that we know that, we can download an emulator to our liking without fault. The emulator that we'll be using is PPSSPP, since it plays the smoothest, and it's what I recommend using the most. Just note that your computer, or most likely your video card, must be able to support GPL 2.0 in order to even launch the emulator. You might need to either update your drivers, or get another computer that'll support it. With that said, in the description of this video, you'll see several download links of the emulator, games, and even support files if needed. Since we want the emulator first, this will be the link that we want to go to. Click on that and it'll take you straight to the MediaFire website. Just hit download and wait for it to finish, unless you have CAPTCHA, of course. The file really isn't that big at all, so it should really just take you about a couple seconds or so to download it. Anyways, now that we have the emulator downloaded, let's go ahead and get Corpse Party. Going back to the description of the video, just like the emulator, we want to click on the link and hit download. This one will take a couple minutes, however, so I'll see you guys in just a bit. Alright, so we're back with both files downloaded, and we're ready to move on to the next step. So let's go ahead and minimize these first, since we won't need them right now. And we need to go to the downloads folder, or wherever you put your downloads at. As you can see, there are the two files that we just downloaded, and if you don't have Winrar or any extraction software installed, then I have a link provided in the description below. Now please listen carefully, for this is very important. If you look at the two files we have here, they both share the same icon. This doesn't mean that they're the same file, however. The icons just tell you that these files can be opened using the software you have installed, in this case Winrar. What we really have here are two different file types. One being a RAR file, which is the emulator, and one being an ISO file, which is the game. If you want to know what their file types are, you can right-click on the file and go to Properties. However, I kind of see this a bit time-consuming when you have too many files, so what I recommend is actually clicking on this Organize button here, drop down to Folders and Search Options. You'll want to click on the View tab, then on the bottom you should see Hide Extensions for known file types. Just uncheck that and then hit Apply. And if we take a look, we can see that the file extensions are shown at the end of the files. This makes it so much easier to identify exactly what file type you really have, instead of guessing like we always did before. But moving on, go ahead and right click on the PPSSPP RAR file and extract it. I'll be doing it here just to make things look less messy. Once extracted, you want to right click on the Corpse Party game file, then hit Cut, or Ctrl X on the keyboard. Go to the emulator folder and right click while in or on the UMD folder, then hit Paste, or Ctrl V. Now we are ready to start the emulator. In the emulators folder, you'll see that there are two PPSSPP application files. Like what we checked earlier, if you have a 64-bit operating system, you can use either one. But if you have a 32-bit system, then you cannot use the 64-bit app. Since Corpse Party plays best with a 32-bit app instead, let's go ahead and launch that first. If you get any errors along the way, just be patient, but don't stop watching, because I'll be covering all that afterwards. But for those who did launch it successfully, you'll come up with this screen here, where you'll have to locate your game. So, what you want to do first is click on Load, and you want to find the folder with Corpse Party in it. Since mine is within all my downloads, I need to click on the Downloads folder here on the left. Open up the emulator folder, open the UMD folder, click on the game that you want to play, and then hit OK. The game should start up from there and you should be ready to play. Now, before I get spammed by comments and messages saying that you can't pass the no save data screen, please keep in mind that you're using an emulator that emulates a handheld platform. If the original system does not have a touchscreen feature implemented like a DS emulator, then you use the keyboard as your controller and not the mouse for the most part. By default, the Z key is to confirm and the X key is to cancel. Remember that the keys on your keyboard are mapped to emulate the buttons on what the game displays. To view the controls, just click on the Game Settings tab up on the menu bar, then hit Control Mapping. There you can see and edit your control scheme to your liking. Now, another thing I want to point out is, right after the intro video of the game, you'll sometimes come to a static screen. Please don't worry because this is normal. All you have to do is just press the Enter key twice to reveal the main menu, then just play as normal. Another question that I've been asked a couple times now is how to save the game. Well, aside from the candles that you'll play while playing normally, there is actually a cheap way to save at any time and at any place. These are called save states. While in a game, if you press the Escape key, you'll be taken to a pause menu. On the left, you can see 5 slots. These slots will be your best friend. You can either pause and hit Save State to save your current position in the game, or while playing, you can actually press the F2 key to save your current position without going through all that hassle. Pressing the F3 key will create a new save in the next numbered slot, and pressing the F4 key will load your previous save state. Just be warned, however, that sometimes if you press the F3 key to save to a different slot, then press the F4 key to reload it, the game will say that it failed to load and it will reboot the game. So just be careful with that. What I like to do to prevent that is to always press F2 before pressing F4. That way the game knows your current state and not your new one. But anyways, for those who got that working, I hope you enjoyed the game. And for those who are having trouble starting, well, now it's your turn, and I'll do my best on what I can do to provide all the solutions to the problems that you might have. So first off, if you got a message saying that you're missing a DLL file, like this one when I open the 64-bit emulator, then this is what you want to do first. In the description below, you need to install VC 2013. Click on the version that you have the error on, and install it. Since I'm having this problem for my 64 bits, I'll have to choose the 64-bit installation. After you get that installed, it should just start working without having to restart your computer. For those who have the emulator running, but having a black screen problem when loading up the game, well, you might need to turn off a buffered rendering and frame skipping. To do that, go into the game settings up top, hover over Render Resolution, and click on Non-Buffered Rendering. Then, in the settings again, hover over Frame Skipping, then click on Off. This should resolve the problem, but because I've never experienced that problem before, I'm not 100% sure, so just play around with that. Same with the glitchy rainbow screen problem, because I've never really experienced it, I don't know the solution, so you might just have to tweak the graphics settings and whatnot. Maybe go into game settings and play around with the textures. I'm sorry if any problems you might have cannot be resolved, but if anything, you can just look it up in the forums. You might find something that'll help you. But with that said, that's going to conclude my tutorial, and hopefully the last tutorial on this subject. We've done quite a lot in this episode, and I appreciate you guys for sticking around. Just remember to check the description of the video first before asking me any questions. As much as I like to see all the comments, I can only answer the same question after so many times. But I do hope this has helped you more than in my previous tutorials. But anyways, this is ZaTaisho, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of Let's Direct.